Oh man, welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm Lex.
I'm Dan. We started on time!
For the first time ever.
Like, actually maybe the first time ever.
We also started, like, right at the end of a song.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
So it literally faded out.
This
and
is
then
a
we
red
came
letter
in.
day.
Can't even handle it.
Between this and all the sexual content we have to discuss, what could be better?
If you're wondering
Gotta hook
who...
the viewer.
the listener, Tim.
They view it with their ears. The only way ears can. By hearing.
So for those who don't know who we are, this is Don't Copy That Floppy, a video game news podcast. We podcast weekly live on Fridays from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on chipit.net. You can listen to us online at those times by going to chipit.net and listening to the on-site player, or you can download their playlist file and listen in iTunes or Winamp. You can check out our show archive, which is on Chipit. Also, we have an iTunes that has a show archive on it, so you can subscribe to us on there. Don't Copy That Floppy. You can also like us on Facebook. Don't Copy That Floppy. Or you can follow us on Twitter at DCTF Podcast. And we have a Steam group that you can join. You can follow us as a curator.
Yes, indeed you do.
So, Dan, what are we talking about this week?
Well, this will be quick because a lot of it's just a bunch of stuff, random stuff. We got a little story about Kickstarter. We like to do stories about Kickstarter and usually lead off with them. So whether the game's good, bad, succeeded, failed, whatever, we talk about them. Then we got some news about Nintendo. Lots of news about Nintendo, actually, because this past Tuesday was a Nintendo Direct, like a 40-minute long one where they announced a lot of release dates and other interesting stuff. Then a little bit of news about Xbox and Microsoft, and then a whole slew of news about individual games that have either been announced, maybe going into production, are having troubles of various sorts, all that stuff. So rather than list off every individual game, I'll just say, we have a lot of random games to talk about, which isn't as usual. Usually we have more, like, industry news.
Yeah.
But this week we've got a lot of stuff about individual titles. Then we'll probably end off with a little look at the games coming out within the next couple weeks. That's it. And every so often we'll do little reviews of something we've been playing or played in the past or just something we think is cool.
It's been the perfect storm lately of us slacking on playing new stuff and there being a lot more news to cover than normal.
Oh, you better believe that I'm going to be reviewing Monster Hunter 4 at some point.
Monster Hunter?
After it comes out.
You're getting involved?
No. Getting the better game. Made in Japan. Better. This game was folded over 1,000 times. Evolve wasn't. It'll cut through your Western game like butter. So let's start with Kickstarter. Pillars of Eternity has been given a release date.
Yay!
Tell everybody what Pillars of Eternity is. I bet some people don't know.
Pillars of Eternity is a classic isometric view RPG.
Think Baldur's Gate.
Almost exactly like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
like
that's totally
it's
what they were
real-time
going for.
combat that you can pause and give commands to your guys and then unpause, exactly like Baldur's Gate.
This was made by Obsidian, which is interesting as a Kickstarter.
Yes, so this was one of the most successful, if not the most successful, video game Kickstarters that have happened.
I mean, Obsidian did. I mean, it makes sense because they were so known when they put this Kickstarter.
Yeah,
because they did Fallout New Vegas. They did Knights of the Old Republic 2, and tons of other RPGs that no one ever let them finish making.
Oh, poor Obsidian. I like KOTOR 2. I think I like KOTOR 2 more than KOTOR 1.
KOTOR 2 is good, but when you find out how much stuff was cut from it because it was pushed out the door early...
You're real sad.
It's really depressing.
Yeah.
Like, if they had gotten all the content in there, that game would have been a masterpiece.
Totally.
It's still really good.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they made $4 million for Pillars of Eternity on Kickstarter.
Pretty good.
Which is super impressive. Which especially I thought was shocked by, because when I look at all the gameplay of it, like, it looks good, but it looks exactly like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, there's not much, like, technically speaking, there's not much more like there's better particle effects and lighting,
and it's an
sharper
HD,
texture.
yeah, but otherwise it is like the exact same kind of game that could have been made in the mid-90s.
It's an isometric fantasy RPG.
Yeah.
Based in like D&D style stuff. So anyway, this is because you've been given a release date. It was originally slated for release before the end of 2014. The information we're saying here is from a article on GameSpot from January 14th. Yep. So now they are saying it will ship worldwide on March 26th.
Coming up.
Yeah, a little over 2 months away.
Yeah, when they first announced that it was going to be pushed back a couple months, that was just sort of another unfortunate thing to hear about a Kickstarter game. Because what we hear a lot about with successfully funded Kickstarter games is they get pushed back, and sometimes they don't ever come out.
Shovel Knight was pushed back like 8 months.
Jeez.
From its original release date.
But that was fine.
Finally came out and it was great.
So this will probably be fine. I mean, just the fact that they gave a release date is very reassuring to a lot of people.
This is a good sign, because all of Obsidian's past releases could have used another 4 months. The company funding them just didn't give it to them. Like, they're a great team. They're like a great development team, but they're just always working for a larger company that wants the game done.
Yeah.
So it really hurts it and makes it look like they kind of do shoddy work. It's just because they don't have time to finish debugging everything and adding all the content they want and everything. But, like, the people working on these games in Obsidian are great. Like, they got great writers, good programmers, good everything. So, I don't know.
Now, they did a thing yesterday. So it would have been Thursday, what's the date today? The 16th today?
15th. Thursday, 15th, yeah.
So, yeah, it would have been 15th. They did a live Twitch stream of some of the gameplay. I didn't get a chance to watch it because I had to be at work at the time that it was going on.
I didn't even know what was happening.
But I have watched a lot of the other gamelay that had already been released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it too.
Yeah,
and
it's Baldur's Gate,
which isn't a bad thing at all.
No, I don't know if we talked about this last week, but the guys who made the revamped version of Baldur's Gate are making another.
Trap?
No, not them.
Revamped, you say? Tell me more.
How do the augurs factor in? Will it be banned in Australia?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But no. Yeah, the remastered Baldur's Gate games, they're making another one.
Yes.
I feel like you were telling me about this the other
we talked
day.
about that last week.
Okay, we did talk about that last week.
Yeah, we did talk about that last week. That Beamdog, the people who put out the enhanced editions of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2...
That's what they're called, enhanced editions.
Are going to begin working on a third Baldur's Gate title of their own design.
Good for them.
Using the original engine and all that stuff. So,
how
will they measure up?
And then you saw a little while ago, Divinity Original Sin came out.
Yes.
Which was very much influenced by Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
But the gameplay is a little more modern than that, although still very much like those old games.
Yeah.
So, and that did really well, not only on Kickstarter, but in terms of sales. The Baldur's Gate games have been doing really well. If Pillars of Eternity does really well, I mean, we're seeing a big resurgence of top-down RPGs.
Yeah. If you'd like to check out more top-down RPGs, in addition to the enhanced editions of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, check out Planescape Torment. A spectacular little game that's under most people's radar, that was actually made by Black Isle, which it became Obsidian, more or less, eventually. Like, a lot of the people from Black Isle, when it dissolved...
Oh, is that how that
are
worked?
now part of Obsidian.
Okay.
Yeah. And Black Isle, they all worked on Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, also. But yeah, Planescape Torment is super unique and super interesting as far as RPGs go. You can win that game without, like, fighting anyone.
Ooh.
Just through, like, diplomacy and stuff. It's very, very cool.
Neat.
Yeah. Very well written. So yeah, that's cool. Let's talk about Nintendo. There's a lot of Nintendo to talk about.
There's a lot of Nintendo to talk about.
First and foremost, the newest iteration of the DS, the new 3DS
XL,
will be launching in the United States on February 13th.
For $200.
For 200 bonaroos.
What?
200. Wait, 200? I saw 220.
Well, I'm
Is that
looking at a Destructoid article from the 14th.
As am I. And they do say 200 here.
But you actually watched the live stream, which I assume is where this was announced.
Yes. You know what it may be? They did say that the system is not going to come with an AC adapter, which is ridiculous to me.
I mean, is it the same AC adapter as all the other?
So it'll... I don't think it is. Or no, it is. It is, but you can't... If you want to trade in your old system to get the new one,
you have to trade in the
AC adapter with it. So
you
have
could
to buy
say you
a
lost
Nintendo
it.
AC adapter. So the 220 price is probably for the system with the AC adapter.
That's not cool, Nintendo.
The two bundled systems that are coming out, the Monster Hunter one and the Zelda one.
Oh no, 220 is the price for the bundles. There's two that are coming out bundled with games. Because also announced coming out on February 13th are Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and the Majora's Mask 3D remake.
Oh, Majora's Mask!
Yeah, so they were both announced alongside this, and there's going to be special edition bundles of the new systems with both of those games. The Majora's Mask one's already sold out. Sold out in like 4 hours.
It's gone.
It's gone. Sorry, everyone. Monster Hunter 1, I don't know if that's still available or not. Yeah. But... yeah, this system has better processing power. It's got read-on-like buttons. It's got this little nub C-stick, so you have 2 joysticks.
Oh.
But it's one of those weird trackpads they have on like old laptops, basically.
Oh,
I'm not really a fan.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to be sticking to my plain old XL with because I have the Circle Pad Pro attachment for it, so... it's like, I don't know. I don't really see the point in getting the new thing.
So now in the Nintendo...
there are going to be games that are only going to be able to run on this, though. The first being a port of Xenoblade Chronicles from the Wii. That relies on this higher processing power of the system. And makes load times better even on old games. So it's got a lot going for it. It's a definite upgrade.
Oh, certainly.
It's just do you really want to upgrade your 3DS XL that badly?
It feels like every other month we're getting an upgrade to the
There's
DS.
so many DSs.
Because there was the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS
well, there's
XL.
the DS, the DS Lite, the DSi.
Oh, God, you're right.
The DS XL, the 3DS, the 3DS XL. Now the new 3DS XL. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. It's really silly at this point.
Now, we also know from the sales numbers that people keep buying them. So I guess that's why Nintendo's like, whatever, we'll just put out another one. People will buy it. So, okay. But if I was I don't know, I don't do a lot of handheld gaming, but if I did, this would frustrate me to no end.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would make me really upset.
It's kind of annoying. There were a number of other things announced in this Nintendo Direct, including a new Fire Emblem game on the 3DS.
We got a cinematic trailer for that.
Sure did. It looks cool. It looks like it's
I'm sorry, it did have gameplay in it. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It looks like it's going to have kind of an East meets West style to it as well, because there were some samurai-looking characters and stuff in it, which is different for that series. But yeah, I mean, after Fire Emblem Awakening was a huge runaway hit on the 3DS, it was kind of inevitable that there would be another one. But I think that Nintendo kind of surprised everybody with showing this trailer now. As far as I could tell, not many people were really expecting an announcement of the next full Fire Emblem game. There was some new information about Splatoon that's Splatoon. There was some information about a few other little download titles that are going to be on the shop channel. There was obviously the announcement of the release dates for Majora's Mask and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. They also released a demo for Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. They sent out the codes to Club Nintendo members. Everyone, random people got 4 codes to give out to their friends. The demo has full online play functionality and everything, so that's really cool. I played it a bit last night and tried it out. Gameplay's really good. Nice. If you like Monster Hunter, it's real good. It feels so good. Because this game actually is built on a totally different engine from all the other titles. So there's a lot more it just feels way smoother, both for the monsters and the character, and there's a lot more ways to move around in the environments. Like climbing is really fast now, and you can jump off of ledges and climb up stuff really quickly. So it gives the whole, when you're fighting these big monsters, that it's way more dynamic feeling, and it feels like there's way more you can do with the environment now.
Cool.
Which was always a problem in those games, because like fighting the monsters was cool, but the environments were always just kind of a place to fight the monster in, and there was nothing more to it. Whereas now, each area you fight in has all these ledges and setups and things where you can actually use them tactically to help you in the fight. So it's very cool. And there's new monsters that make use of it as well. And lots of the old monsters can now climb, which they couldn't before, and other sorts of stuff to give it this very exciting feel. You know, when you climb up a wall and the monster just chases you up the wall, it's an experience.
An experience.
But it's really cool. So if you're a Monster Hunter person, you should get it. And if you're not, you should try the demo if you can get your hands on it. Give it a go. They have like a tutorial mode for beginners and everything, so you can learn how the basics of the game work. Because it's kind of a hard game to get into. Trying to think what else they mentioned at the Direct, because I know there was some other stuff. They talked more about Codename Steam, which is another upcoming 3DS title.
Is it steampunk?
Yes.
Oh.
It's about... See, I'm going to tell you the concept. It's about Abraham Lincoln running like a special ops team to protect America. And it sounds cool.
Yeah,
and they have all
fun.
these cool Steam-based weapons, and it plays kind of like... it's like a turn-based strategy RPG. So it plays sort of like Fire Emblem.
Oh,
or
wait, I saw
Valkyria
gameplay
Chronicles.
of this, yeah.
Yeah. My big gripe with it is I really don't like the art style.
No, neither did I.
It
when
looks
I saw
like
it.
a budget title. Like, it looks like a cheap download game. Like Wii Shovelware or something.
Yeah.
And that really hurts the game. Because if it had a better art style, I think it would be really awesome. But yeah, those were the big...
Wait,
big
so
deal
that's
announcements.
first party? Or like...
That's first party.
That, yeah, I didn't think that at all.
No, they're pushing that really hard right now. It doesn't look it.
Are they pushing it as hard as Splatoon?
Just about. They've just been pushing Splatoon longer. But hey, maybe Splatoon will be really good. I won't play it, but maybe some people are just into that. Let's talk about Xbox. Now, you found this information, and this is right off of Xbox.com.
Yeah, so we have updates that we got...
And this is interesting.
About a week ago.
Yeah.
From Microsoft,
Yeah.
talking about people... They addressed all this legal stuff, but it's specifically for people who do Let's Play videos.
Right.
And it pretty much just...
When I read the beginning, I was like, oh, so this is them more or less condoning Let's Plays.
Yeah, it totally is. It's really great.
Yeah.
It gives you all the legal outlines to what you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff about monetization, things like that.
What they want you to write as far as the copyright goes.
Yeah.
Just so you can put that and make sure that you're all set so they won't take it down or anything.
It also sort of gives legal terms to the stuff that you're making and differentiates it from the stuff that they made. So it's more like game content is the legal term for their stuff.
Right.
And then whatever you create with it is your item. And legally that's how it's referred to. So there isn't going to be any more ambiguity about that kind of
At least
stuff.
not with Microsoft titles.
Not with Microsoft titles. It would be great if more companies...
It is
did this.
really cool to see them step forward and do this.
The only
because
thing...
Let's Plays have become such a huge thing
Oh, totally.
that it's ridiculous. It's almost ridiculous that more companies haven't stated how they feel about it and what their stance is on it.
Yeah, especially with, like, a lot of, like, PlayStation and how they partnered with Twitch so that there's, like, Twitch built into their online thing.
Yep.
But I don't think they have, like, outlined all this legal stuff, so...
No.
That's only going to cause problems, but...
At least not in so public a way.
Yeah.
Like, you might be able to find it, but I doubt they made it. I don't think they made it very, like, here's all this stuff.
Yeah. They talked about... A lot of things they talk about in terms of money, they're saying, like, you can't make money off of this except if you're on one of our, like, condoned streaming sites, which are YouTube or Twitch, and they have a monetization option and you go through them to do that. That it's totally cool. So yeah, Let's Players can make money this way, and it's legally totally fine.
Yeah.
Neat. I think there were separate rules specifically for Minecraft. I don't remember where in here that was, but I remember reading that in like an overview article that they made like a special exception for Minecraft stuff because Minecraft is so much more complicated.
Yeah, these rules apply to all games and game content, blah, 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 blah. The only exception is Minecraft, which has its own guidelines on the Mojang website. So...
The only thing that I thought...
It's just a general thing for Minecraft that's handled separately because of how Minecraft works.
So the only thing that I thought was sort of interesting and a little bit restrictive about this is that they were saying, in one of the bullet points here, you may make your item available on YouTube or Twitch and participate in programs that those sites have to earn revenue through ads, like I talked about earlier. But the fact that they single out YouTube and Twitch, if there was going to be another website that wanted to get into the game streaming game, it's like, well, now legally stuff with us is going to be complicated. Right. And like that site would need to go to Microsoft.
So will Microsoft cover other sites? Should they show up is kind of the question.
And I feel like they will if they're popular enough sites. Yeah. But it's just weird to me that they single out sites in it. Because it's kind of like, I don't think they're meaning to do this, but it seems kind of like they're choosing sort of winners in terms of like what sites can be popular.
Microsoft approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like I don't think that's what they mean to do. I think they're just like, these are the two sites that people stream on, so that's what we're going to address.
Which is true, because those are the two sites where the like vast majority of that happens.
Yeah.
And I doubt that's going to change anytime soon.
Probably not.
Because both of them do it rather well. But yeah, it's neat to see this.
It is. It's really nice.
This kind of... I'm reminded of something we talked about a while ago now, several weeks ago at this point, where Nintendo came out and said that they have no problem with people using their characters in fan projects. And I mean, this isn't quite the same thing, but it's another instance of recently a large gaming company saying, if you guys want to use our characters to make little fan games and things like that, cool.
We're not going to sue you.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
worry.
It's just nice to see companies connect with the fan community like that, though.
Yeah, totally.
And actually encourage creativity in the community and all that stuff, rather than just suing everybody. Yay.
And I feel like, in the past year or so, there definitely has been a lot of drama with different Let's Players and other YouTubers just having content taken down.
Yeah. So, and then it's even if they didn't actually do anything wrong, and it was like a mistake or a mix-up, it's a huge effort to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, because it's all this bureaucratic red tape that everyone has to go through to do it. And for a lot of these people on YouTube, they're making a decent amount of money off this stuff. So it's not a stretch to say that for some of them, like at least the really popular ones, it is kind of their livelihood in some way. I know the biggest Let's Players right now pretty much make their money off of that.
Yeah.
Like PewDiePie, The Best Friends, Game Grumps, like all of them, and a few others as well, are making their living off of Let's Play videos. So, for that to happen to, any of them would be a big deal. Because they don't have other jobs. So, yeah.
This is good. We're happy. Good job, Microsoft.
Good job.
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer.
Does it again.
Yeah. I like that guy.
Yeah, there's just been nothing but positive news out of Microsoft.
Yeah.
Lately.
And Phil we trust. Guy's doing a great job.
Yeah,
He's doing a really great job. I'm like I remember when he got that job, and we were both like, oh, I like the stuff he's saying.
Hopefully he follows through with it.
He's followed through on it, really well.
Yeah.
He sold me completely when he said he didn't see a reason to make Minecraft 2. I was like, you have won me over, Phil Spencer. We're set. And he's so handsome.
He is pretty handsome.
Moving on. So,
Oh, we're going to this now?
yeah, we talked recently about Australia's guidelines as far as game classification goes.
Actually, this is a pretty big shift of gears, and we're almost to our halfway point, so I'm going to do a show
that's
ID
good.
right now.
Yeah, good.
So, if you just tuned in and are confused as to why you're not hearing chiptune music and why you're hearing two people talking about how much they love Phil Spencer, that would confuse me, I'll tell you that.
You're here on Phil Spencer Forum, the radio show for Phil Spencer fans by Phil Spencer fans.
No, you're
Isn't
listening.
he just the best?
Dreamy. No, you're listening to Don't Copy That Floppy, a weekly video game news podcast on chipbit.net. So you can listen to us live on chipbit.net on Fridays between 7 and 8, around then. And you can check out our show archive on chipbit.net on our little page for our show.
Yep.
And you can subscribe to us on iTunes, get our show archive that way. You can also like us on Facebook, which is Don't Copy That Floppy. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF Podcast, or you can join our Steam group, which is Don't Copy That Floppy, and follow us as a curator on there. So we'd appreciate it. You get more news from us. We like to talk about news things. Time to talk about some gross news.
Yeah.
Real gross.
Yeah, right before we did the radio show tonight, you asked me, Dan, did you watch the video with that Hotline Miami article I sent you? And I said no, and you were like, you should watch it.
It is
And I
only
watched
like,
it.
the important part is only like 30
Yeah,
seconds.
and I got to that part, and I was like, why?
You vomited
Like,
a little?
I was kind of just flabbergasted.
Okay, so this is an article from Destructoid from January 15th.
Yes.
And it is Hotline Miami 2 refused classification in Australia.
Yes.
Now, as we talked about last week on our show, Australia has a slightly different classification system than the US does. Although it's mostly the same idea. The big difference is that they have a government board whose job it is to specifically watch gameplay and decide what classification the game should get.
And if they refuse to classify it, it will not be sold in a majority of retailers in Australia.
Now, last week, or was it last week or
It was
the week before? It was a little while ago. Last time we talked about it.
Talk about Grand Theft Auto 5.
And that actually got a classification, but
There was a big petition about it.
yeah, people didn't want it in certain stores, and they petitioned it in those
because
stores.
it promotes violence against prostitutes and sex workers.
And
in Australia, lots of people are like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of prostitutes.
Yeah, that was one of the...
Like, and I'm not saying that as, like, to be mean. Like, it's actually in the article. Brothels are, like, a regular thing.
Yeah, they're legal.
They're legal in Australia, so they actually have lots of people who work as sex workers.
Yeah.
And they don't want a game that promotes violence against these people.
Just hard work and blue-collar jobs.
Yeah. Hey, good for them.
So...
I couldn't do it.
So it wasn't that game wasn't sold there, but it was more that there are certain retailers who decided not to sell it based on a petition.
Yeah.
Now
which
this
is fine.
This is more extreme because it is the classification board saying no, it's not cool, not going to be in Australia. You guys can't have it.
Yeah.
And their reasoning. I have a problem with both of the people, both Devolver Digital and the people from Australia.
Yes.
But the people from Australia are more in the right.
I agree. I actually completely agree with that sentiment. Because I think both parties make good points, but ultimately, I'm on the Australian side here.
I'm with Australia. So let me read you the quote from the board.
Yes.
The Australian board. And I'll probably cut this down a little because it's really long.
Paraphrase it a bit.
In the sequence of gameplay footage titled Midnight Animal, which was a gameplay trailer that they did, the protagonist character bursts into what appears to be a movie set and explicitly kills 4 people who collapse on the floor in a pool of copious blood. Often accompanied... Yeah, so this is nothing that we didn't see in Hotline Miami 1 and we weren't expecting. Yeah. After stopping the head of the 5th male character, he strikes a female character wearing red underwear. Okay. She is knocked to the floor and is viewed lying face down in a pool of copious blood. I don't know why they say copious again.
They just like that word.
The male character is viewed with his pants halfway down, partially exposing his buttocks. He is viewed pinning the
Can
female...
I just say that sometimes the amazing specificity that these game ratings things go to is actually really funny sounding.
A little bit. Copious buttocks.
There's a great one for Dragon's Dogma where they described the harpies' exposed buttocks. And I thought it was the funniest thing.
So
I'm sorry.
He is viewed pinning the female character down by the arms and lying on top of her, thrusting, implicitly raping her.
I'd say it's pretty explicit.
Yeah. While her legs are viewed kicking as she struggles beneath him.
Yeah.
This visual depiction of implied sexual violence is emphasized by it being mid-screen with a red backdrop pulsating and the remainder of the screen being surrounded by black. Yeah, this is again something that happens a lot in the first game when they'd want to emphasize like a specific... No. But the graphic sort of emphasis of like a part of a scene. So we watched the gameplay of this.
Yep.
And that's not exactly what happens, but it's basically what happens.
I don't know how to
exaggerated.
They hammed it up a bit.
Yeah, copious. They made it a little copious.
They definitely stretched it a bit and added some details in that are not actually present in the game, like the struggling and some other things.
Yeah, so if you watch the gameplay, what happens is he kills all the people, he knocks
hits the lady
on the head.
He gets down on the lady with his pants down and starts thrusting.
You don't even see him thrusting, it's more that he gets down and his pants come down.
Oh, okay. I thought there was
There wasn't really any more movement than that. Okay. But it's still clearly implied rape.
Yeah.
There's really no way that you say...
The developer knew what they did.
Totally.
Devolver Digital can't deny that that's what's happening in the scene. Well, they can, but no one will believe them.
No one should believe them.
Yeah. So after this, a PR person at Devolver Digital sent over a statement in regard to that. And claims that the Australian ratings boards exaggerated the scene and failed to give proper context. I don't think they failed to give proper context.
No, not at all.
At all.
And they did exaggerate a little, but I don't think they exaggerated it to their point was not made invalid by the exaggeration.
Like, how do you exaggerate that more? There's rape.
Yeah.
It's like, there was super rape, and then Devolver Digital says, that wasn't super rape, it was like regular.
It was just regular rape.
Yeah.
Listen, this rape was actually very tasteful.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, are they really trying to defend their tasteful rape scene in this game? Because that's not happening.
Now, one of the things that Devolver Digital points out that is, I think, important to note is that before this scene, and I assume before other parts of the game too, there's an option where you could choose to play the level
they did put
in an edited version. Yeah,
option.
When you play through this level censored, everything is exactly the same. Like, there's still just as much blood, which is, I assumed would have also been censored, but apparently not.
No, it seems like it's just for the sexual content.
Just that part.
Which also implies, if you ask me, that there's probably more of this in the game. If they went through the trouble of making a full game option like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd do that if it was just this one thing. But maybe I'm wrong. That's me throwing that out there as a possibility here. They seem very focused on saying, well, you know, the Australian Ratings Board described these things that aren't actually in the scene, but they don't really defend why the scene even needs to be there.
Yeah, there's that, and
that's my biggest issue.
At least they don't say that it's not sexual violence. They do.
Yeah.
They do say this is. Although they do sort of use the annoying thing where they say like, avoid content that alludes to sexual violence. And I'm like, this isn't alluding to sexual violence. You're not alluding
to it. It just is.
This is exactly what it is.
Like, that's precisely what it is.
Mixed in with all your extreme amounts of regular violence.
Yeah, good old ultra violence.
I can see their argument if they want to say this is art and it shouldn't be censored because it's art. But they're not even making that argument, which is what bugs me, because if they at least said that, I'd be a little more on their side. I still wouldn't really be on their side.
I can say I still wouldn't be, because I get it that people can just... To me, that comes off as the other argument, which is that
calling something art just makes it okay.
Yeah.
Which is also not true. But I think some people think it's an easy way to do bad, horrible things and then just say, well, you can't criticize me because it's art. Like, and you can criticize any art, actually.
That's true. And I know that we have talked about a lot in the past that video games don't make you violent.
No.
And I stand by that.
Me too.
But
Nor do I think that this would cause sexual violence if people played it.
But that being said, I still think there's a difference between an art project that could be as grotesque as this, that's like a gallery, and an interactive experience like
and this
video
is just, it's just in poor taste.
Yeah.
You're playing this game, and then that happens, and I don't know. I feel like if I had just been playing this game, like if I started up Hotline Miami 2 and got to this scene, I wouldn't want to play it anymore. And maybe that's just me, but that kind of turns me off from even wanting to touch the game. Because I don't like the idea of that.
Now, if you listeners at home were thinking you were split on this issue, or you might have been on Devolver's side, let me give you a title of another article that's going to get you right off their side real quick.
Oh no! Did you just find something new here?
Hotline Miami dev suggests piracy is an alternative to Australian ban. So they're literally just saying, like, yeah, we know that your government said that this wasn't cool for you to play, so you should just steal it. And I'm just like, guys, that's not a good response. That's like a really unclassy response.
And this is kind of a shame, too, because when the first game came out, these guys seemed like they were pretty cool. As far as the little small developer goes.
Well, it's also that the first game was ultra-violent.
Yes.
And a lot of people, including me, defended it being like, okay, so yes, it is ultra-violent, but there's more going on in this game.
And I'll defend the first game, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't play it, but I've seen a lot of it. And I'll defend any part of it. But this I don't want to defend. I just don't like it.
You crossed the line, Devolver.
You crossed the line. And now I feel like they're going to start backpedaling on this. Trying to get...
Given their press statements, I feel like they're not going to backpedal.
Maybe, but they're still not handling it very well.
No, they're not.
Well, I don't mean backpedal, like remove it from the game.
Oh, okay.
I maybe backpedal's the wrong word. I see a lot of really stupid comments coming in soon from them. Like, if this continues to be an issue, I can see them, after what they've already said, I can see them kind of breaking and saying some really dumb stuff.
Yeah, like saying, like, you guys just don't understand, you're dumb.
Yeah, I can see this turning into a big hissy fit. Mm-hmm. Which is also kind of a shame, because it's like, you're adults. Act like it. If you're going to consider it art, defend your art. You know?
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, everybody's being a bully to us because they don't like our tasteful rape scene. Boo, 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 boo.
All I can think of is the Nightman Cometh. If anyone's ever watched...
that is a tasteful rape scene.
If anyone's ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there's a spectacular episode called The Nightman Cometh you should check out.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. That's a tasteful rape scene. So, let's talk about another game that was recently given the adults-only rating in US and Canada. It's been a long time since anything was given that rating.
Yeah.
And this is the first thing that I can think of that's not some weird sex game from Japan.
Mm. So that rating is pretty much the kiss of death, because no one's going to carry it.
No one's going to carry it. I don't know if you've noticed, but I bet none of you have seen a little AO on any boxes in any game store you've ever gone into, ever. And that's because nobody stocks them at all. So a little game that we talked about a while ago, probably a couple months ago at this point, called Hatred, has been given the adults-only rating in the US and Canada. Now, Hatred is by is it a Polish developer?
I think so.
I believe so, yes. Polish developer. And this game is basically a third-person isometric action game where your character goes on a quote-unquote genocide crusade. And it's basically like the edgiest game you can imagine. You play as Nathan Explosion from Metalocalypse in a trench coat, and you have lots of guns and knives, and you just go and brutally kill innocent people.
Did they seriously say genocide crusade?
That's what it says, and it's in quotes, which means it must be from something about the game.
I can't believe they used that combination of words.
They sure did.
I mean, they wanted press. That's the only reason why I use those combination of words.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the developers even said, this is really nice in comparison to what we just talked about with Hotline Miami. I'm not quite convinced why Hatred got the AO rating while it lacks any sexual content. But it's still some kind of achievement to have the second game in history getting AO for violence and harsh language only. Even if this violence isn't really that bad and this harsh language isn't overused. The violence isn't that bad. You only go and shoot up schools.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. But this is interesting because we just looked at Hotline Miami, which has sexual assault.
And the sexual assault is the reason why it's banned,
yes.
Not the ridiculous violence in it.
Yes, and this is getting banned because of the ridiculous violence in it. And this game, like they said, has no sexual content at all.
At least it just doesn't have sex.
That's what I said before the show. Like, I'll play Hatred before I play Hotline Miami 2 now, because in Hatred, at least I'm not playing as a rapist.
It's true.
I may be playing as a genocide crusader, but not a rapist.
There's just you're one notch above.
One notch above. Keep that pride. You go, Nathan Explosion. I don't know if he has a name, but he really looks like Nathan Explosion.
We're really sorry, because Metalocalypse is actually an awesome show.
It is great. So I don't want that to be associated with this game. But Metalocalypse is terrific. So obviously this guy, these guys say that they would prefer to get the standard mature rating, because with AO they will have problems to get to consoles in the future.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they think you guys, our fans, would be disappointed with it. This game has fans.
I don't think it does.
I don't know if it... I mean, I guess it must have some, but every time I see people talk about this game, they make fun of it. Because it looks like it's trying so hard. I mean, all this kind of goes back to, like, the cultural double standard of sex stuff versus violence stuff.
Yeah, and
in the United States.
And because of that, I'm actually kind of glad that Hatred is getting this rating somewhere, even though it's not the United States, it's Europe.
Hatred? No, this is in the U.S. and Canada.
Oh, I thought it was in Europe.
No, U.S. and Canada, man.
Well, then, yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's too much of a double standard there.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad that somebody who's rating games...
Thanks, ESRB.
Yeah, can finally be like, oh yeah, maybe there is a level of violence that's just too much.
Yeah, and it's not even like... It's the context of the violence and Hatred, I think. It's not that it's like, oh, he stabs people in the neck, and oh, he shoots people and blows them up with grenades. Like, it's not the method of the violence. It's what the violence is directed towards. And it's the fact that it's all directed towards just, like, innocent people.
And to clarify, I'm not saying that these games shouldn't be made, because I think they should. I'm saying that this is the kind of game that should get the adults-only rating, because you need to be an adult to play it. Yeah. And, like, you can get it online. It's not like it's not being sold. It's not like it's banned.
Just pirate it.
No, you could just order it legitimately online.
I'm joking.
But no, but that's the thing. Like, I don't want
do it the Devolver way.
I'm not into games being banned, but I am into the rating system being used.
I agree with that. Correctly.
More correctly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's all it comes down to. Is like, this is just an example of the ASRB doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is rating games based on how they perceive them. When they said
we shouldn't play Night Trap, they were wrong, but in this case, they're right.
No, they were right. Night Trap sucks.
That wasn't why they
were
said
trying
we
to
should
save
play
us from it.
A really terrible game.
So yeah, I mean, whatever your opinions on all of this is, I mean, we'll wait. I want to see where the Hotline Miami discussion goes, or if this continues anymore. Or if it's just kind of peter out.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the ESRB has rated it already for America, and
I'm kind of curious.
And we should know this already because we're supposed to be journalists who research this stuff, but we'll figure it out later.
I can't think of many games with rape scenes in them.
Do any of the GTA games have that?
No.
Because I don't think they do.
I don't think so either.
There are plenty of sex workers.
There sure are.
But they consent.
But GTA tends to steer clear of, like, sexual violence stuff.
They skirt the edges.
They skirt the edges, but they really don't ever really get there. And I'm sure that that's a conscious decision by Rockstar.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, well, especially given all the hubbub surrounding the game already.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, it's because it doesn't need to be there. Like, we don't need that there in the game. And I kind of feel the same way about Hotline Miami. Like, that is not adding anything to the game. It's just...
Especially in the scene, you guys should go and watch it on Destructoid.
Watch the little video on this Destructoid article
because
so
it seems really tacked on to the end of the scene.
Super tacked on.
And, like, doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the scene. Because, like, I don't want rape scenes in video games, but there are ways you could put it in where it furthers the story. I'm just saying.
Well, there's movies with rape scenes, and books with rape scenes, and all sorts of media with rape scenes where it's a part of the plot line, and it serves some purpose in the story. And yeah, it's horrible, but at least there's something there for the storytelling with it.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just, let's put in a rape scene because it's shocking.
Alright, well...
That's that.
Yeah.
Like...
we have so many more articles and we got 15 minutes.
We're running out of time. Turtle Rock, the developers of Evolve. That's a big game coming out soon.
American Monster Hunter.
American Monster Hunter. Evolve is there's a bunch of criticism about it right now because it's been announced there's going to be lots of pre-purchase options and plans for downloadable content. So immediately people were up in arms saying, like, well, we don't, like, you better not be cutting content from the full game to use as DLC later. Which is a valid concern because that happens all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And Mr. Phil Robb of Turtle Rock Studios had this to say. A lot of folks seem to be under the impression that we've got all this content done and we shave off a chunk to sell separately. That just isn't the case. When Evolve hits shelves, none of the DLC will be done. Behemoth won't be done, none of the planned DLC hunters or monsters will be done. So, PR guy says his PR about how, no, that's not the case.
There's such an easy way to circumvent this. And it's just to not talk about your DLC until after your game has come out. Because you could be cutting it out of the game, but as long as you talk about it a couple months after the game's out, people won't assume that.
True.
But you...
Very true.
And I understand why they're talking about it
with
now.
the business model for a lot of these titles now...
Yeah.
That's pushed on them from whoever's in charge is sell the DLC, sell the DLC, sell the DLC... Destiny, buy the expansion packs.
The Dark Bullho.
The darker above.
The darker above.
I hope that's the next
Space
one.
is what's above, and it's darker.
The darkest in between.
It's nighttime. So
super dark right next to you.
The dark inside. So...
The Dinklage Dark.
It turns out the robot was evil the whole time.
Oh no, not Ghost.
So anyway, so that it's just they're in a tough spot. I gotta say I'm eager for the game to come out so that people can data mine it and find out if this stuff was taken out of the game. Because people will do that.
Because people will. Because they always do.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of developers don't even... Somehow these people who make these games don't think of that. Of a way of covering that up.
To be fair, even 5 years ago, that was something that didn't really happen.
Yeah.
That's a more recent development.
But it's not so recent that I understand why no developers who do this make, like, countermeasures against it. Watch Dogs. Street Fighter Cross Tekken is a horrible offender of that.
I didn't know that.
All of the DLC, all of the paid DLC that came out months and months after the game came out was all on disc.
Man.
And just locked by little, like, kilobyte files that you bought.
That is not cool.
And people found that, and it was bad. And you wonder why no one plays Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Like, that game bombed in part because of that. Because people were just like, no, Capcom, you can't do that. That's not cool.
Nope.
And then, bafflingly, Monster Hunter's DLC is always free. Capcom's weird.
They're a little weird. And they refuse to make Mega Man.
They do.
But
Mega Man was in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Bad box art version from the NES days.
Come on.
Come on.
So yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Evolve. We're gonna find out.
Yeah. We'll see. Keep an eye on it. How about Naughty Dog? How about that Naughty Dog? What are they working on right now?
We're gonna Uncharted 4!
Uncharted 4.
There's a little news snippet from January 9th from Polygon.
Yep.
Where they talked to one of the lead guys working at Naughty Dog, and he talked about how they've learned a lot from some of their past games, specifically Last of Us.
Yeah, that they're going to be bringing into this.
Yeah, and one of the things that they want to do is make it more like a sandbox game.
Yeah, the Uncharted games have always been pretty on rails.
Yeah, that's
like you're just going forward through a level in the Uncharted titles, which isn't a bad thing because they're fun games and there's lots of cool set pieces and things going on.
Yeah,
but there's really no exploration of any kind in them.
So this is another reason why I'm like, oh, Uncharted 4.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
Yeah,
I mean, when we first saw the graphics for it, I was actually like, I think I was more blown away by the Uncharted 4 graphics than I have been by game graphics in a while.
Uncharted's always kind of set the bar for graphics.
Actually, wait, I amend that. Witcher 3. Witcher 3 takes the cake for that, but Uncharted was second.
When the first Uncharted came out on the PS3, it was like the nicest looking game on the system. And then Uncharted 2 was the nicest looking game on the system. And then Uncharted 3 was one of the nicest looking games on the system. So that series has always just been really pretty.
Yeah. So
it's no surprise that the fourth one is also going to be really pretty, but running on PS4 hardware now. So that's cool.
and there was also, this is a side thing, but it goes off what we were just talking about. There was an article about Uncharted that was saying that the developers were talking about how they're not going to push it to run at 60 FPS if that affects gameplay in any way.
Okay. Which
I guess is kind of positive.
It's positive in some ways, but it's going to get a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of FPS. I don't know what the right word is. Lots of people who go super nuts if something's not running at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
Because it just destroys them or something.
Somehow.
I don't know. They can't bear to look at it. It's so disgusting and choppy. 52 FPS, get out of my face.
I hate it.
They say that they want the game, like, as far as the stealth and movement through the areas and during combat, like, they don't want you to just be sitting in cover. They want you to be having to move constantly throughout this big open area, even during the combat, which is cool. And there were some bits of that in the earlier games, but there were a lot of segments in those games where you could just hunker down in one spot and complete the whole, like, combat encounter.
Yeah.
There weren't many where you really felt like you had to move around constantly to succeed. So they're definitely going for much more... demanding more of the player as far as keeping on their toes and reacting to what the game throws at them. Which is cool, because that's kind of what Uncharted's always been about.
Yeah.
Is, like, here's a new thing, you better do something about it. Like, just stuff's happening all the time in those games. Just, you're walking down a hallway and there's spiders everywhere, and you gotta run from the spiders, and then a guy comes out and you gotta punch him in the face, and then a car crashes through the wall, and Nathan Drake's like, oh, funny witticism, and then... Sully! They're good games. So that's cool. Total War. Do you love Total War? Yeah, you do. It's a really good strategy RTS game.
Real good.
It's super good. Total War Attila's coming out in February. That'll be cool.
Sweet.
But also announced recently is something very interesting.
A guy, a Total War fan, who had ordered the Art of Total War, a big old art book that goes along with, I guess, the whole franchise.
Yeah, looks like.
He got the book shipped to him early.
Yes.
And apparently...
There's a little blurb in it.
The book has a spoiler of one of the games they're working on.
Yep.
Which is Total War Warhammer.
Yes. For anyone who doesn't know why that's cool, Warhammer is a tabletop miniatures game.
Yeah.
Set in a fantasy universe. Yep. You know, dwarves, orcs, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it's got a pretty rich world and setting. There's lots of cool lore and stuff about it. And it seems like Creative Assembly's gonna make a Total War game set in this universe.
Yeah.
Which is really neat.
I'm super excited about that, mostly because, I don't play the tabletop game because it's way too expensive, but I've always thought it was cool.
Yeah, me too.
And I've always been bummed that there was never any good video games associated with it.
Yeah.
That it's sort of sister...
There's a couple, decent games, but nothing really impressive.
Its sister game, also tabletop game, Warhammer 40K, which is the one that's it's the same game, but it's set in the far future.
Yeah.
That actually has a lot of good RTS games that have been made.
Yeah.
For it, but yeah, the regular Warhammer, none. So it's really cool. I would love to see this formula applied to Warhammer.
Me too.
This is from a forum post, Total War Center. I guess there's a chance this could be a hoax, but it's probably not. The guy posted pictures of the art book.
Yeah, if it's a hoax, it's really elaborate.
Yeah, he did some really great photoshopping.
If this is a hoax, this guy's really good using Photoshop. This was from January 12th, is when this forum post was made. That's cool. We got a couple more minutes. Blizzard has run into trouble with their new game Overwatch, which we talked about a little bit. Their new game that's basically just League of Legends. And by a company called Innovis Labs is also seeking trademark over the title of Overwatch because they are seeking it for a tactical utility for airsoft paintball and FPS gameplay events. So now Blizzard's in this little hubbub with them about who's gonna get the Overwatch. Who's gonna get it? I hope that Innovis Labs gets it, so Blizzard has to change the name of the game to something better.
So this is
Why don't they just call it Titan?
So this is another in a long line of really annoying copy infringement stories.
Yeah, we've been doing so many of these lately.
On the one hand, I'm thinking okay, so the company that's trying to make this what's for mobile things, it's a tactical,
It's probably a little, thing where you can link up your phones when you're playing, Airsoft or something together, so you can know where each other are.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's a little, radar thing, sort of.
And that's cool, but I don't think anyone would confuse that with Blizzard's next big release.
Probably not.
Probably not. So there's, on the one hand, there's that. On the other hand, Blizzard, Overwatch is an extremely generic name, and the fact that you thought you could name something that and there weren't any other names.
If we're calling it a generic name, then I guess it kind of fits the game.
Oh,
snap. Oh, snap. I said it. I did it. I went there.
Blizzard, you better get some...
Overwatch looks lame.
Blizzard, you better go back out in your cold Blizzard area so that you can deal with that burn that you just got.
Oh, yeah.
So but you actually shouldn't do that because getting really cold after getting a burn.
Hey guys, you know what game you want? Rock Band.
We can't. No one can say that with a straight face.
Well, Harmonix wants to know what people would want in a current gen Rock Band sequel. They did a survey.
Because Harmonix is running out of all their Rock Band money that they got rich on, and they realize they need to release something else.
Maybe it's been long enough that someone will buy it again. That bubble burst.
That's not. Yeah, that's not true. Once you made the Beatles Rock Band, it was over.
I mean, they asked. It's a big survey just about the Rock Band games, like how often you played, how much DLC you got, what instruments you still have laying around. It asks what features they use the most: solo play, friends. Did they use the character creator? Did you play online? And then it asks what current gen consoles people own and what types of features would be important to you in a new game, such as new DLC every week, compatibility with existing DLC, compatibility with existing hardware, online multiplayer, in-game events, etc. And whether people would want to buy a new game separately or bundled with new hardware. So they gauged interest in a new Rock Band last year also, with a similar survey. And the co-founder of Harmonix, Alice Rigopoulos, said the developer may return to the series at the right point in time and reimagine it as appropriate for its time.
So this just tells me that they released the poll last year and the results were nobody cared.
Yep, so they're trying again.
Yeah.
This is from today at 2:10 p.m. January 16th.
2:10. From Polygon.
Yeah.
And
with that, we're pretty much out of time.
We are totally
There's
out
a
of
little
time.
stuff about Dark Souls 2. There's a big patch coming for it. So
I was going to say, if you want to talk about it next week, we can try and...
And if you really want to, if you're really curious, you can look up a little game called Anna Giving Birth.
I want to talk about that next week. I'm not going to forget.
Okay.
It's horror.
It's on the docket. And there's some games coming out. One game coming out that I want to mention, because I can mention it really quick. Resident Evil HD Remaster on everything. This is a remake of the remake of Resident Evil 1 that came out on the GameCube.
Yeah.
This is a remastered HD rebuild of that game. That game was spectacular. I'm sure this will be super cool to see that game, because that game's gorgeous, to see it in HD, redone and everything. So if you are a fan of Resident Evil, check that out.
Now if we can just get Twin Snakes HD.
I know, right?
But wait, WWE Immortals came out yesterday. Don't you want to talk about that? And with that, we're going to end the show. So thank you for listening. You'll be listening to Don't Copy That Floppy, a weekly video game news podcast on chipit.net. You can listen to us live on Fridays from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Either on chipit.net's on-site player, or you can download a playlist file, listen on iTunes or Winamp. You can check out our show archive on Chipit. You can also check out our show archive on iTunes, which is Don't Copy That Floppy. You can like us on Facebook, Don't Copy That Floppy. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF Podcast, and you can join our group on Steam, Don't Copy That Floppy. I also want to mention real quick that Chipit has more shows now than just us.
Whoa.
They have 2 other shows.
What?
They have Pixel Jukebox.
Get them out of here.
I know, we're supposed to be the only ones.
They're muscling in.
Pixel Jukebox, which is... The description is not loading on my computer, but it's a top chiptune music show, I believe.
It's like top 40 hits.
Top 40 chiptune hits. Yeah, and the other one, which I think is actually really cool, and has not started yet, but will be starting soon, is a show called Game Over.
Okay.
And it explores how to survive end-of-the-world scenarios that have been presented in popular video games.
That's interesting.
Some of those are just going to be zombie apocalypse or something, but some of them will be way cool.
Look what comes out on my birthday. Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 2 Sisters Generation. For the Vita. Of course it's on the Vita.
Well, I know what I'm buying you.
Oh yeah. So, thanks for listening, everybody. Check out those other shows. Support Chipit Radio. We're on it, too.
We're on it, too.
So until next week, remember,
don't copy that floppy.